Hey, Shalom. Call Allah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakahakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives to do so. To the scattered hopeful elect across the four corners of the earth, and those among the heathen nations that look like the heathen nations, pursuant to Jeremiah 12:9, known as the speckled birds. This is not a black thing. I am Disciple Parium, a follower of Great Millstone, coming to you with a lesson in truth and sincerity. Now, this lesson is going to be going into what time period is Ezekiel 37:24 speaking of. And so we're going to go ahead and read verse 24, Ezekiel 37:24. It says, "And David, or Dawadah, my servant, shall be king over them, and they all shall have one shepherd. They shall also walk in my judgments and observe my statutes and do them." All right. What that's speaking of is a future time period. All right. This is essentially going into, let me get it real quick. This is a millennial time period. This is a future time period within the kingdom of heaven. Okay. So with that, this is after the tribulation and the battle of Harmageddon. All right. It says Yahweh Shai will establish his 1,000-year kingdom on earth, like it says in the Lord's Prayer, on earth as it is in heaven. Okay. In Jeremiah 30, it says Yahweh promises Israel that the yoke of foreign oppression will be cast off forever. All right. And instead, they will serve the Lord, their power, and David, their king, whom I will raise up for them. So let's go ahead and go to Jeremiah 30, and we're going to start at verse 6. And it reads, and actually I want to read verse 3 real quick. It says, "For lo, the days come, saith the Lord Yahweh, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, saith the Lord Yahweh, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it." And so essentially, that's the tribes reuniting and coming to that land, right? And they will be placed there by the Lord, and not placed by a doctrine made by man, known as the Balfour Declaration. So because also speaks of that when they get into those lands, into their land, that there should not be war anymore, and nation should not rise up against nation, and that they should beat their swords into plowshares. And we know that since 1948, that has not been the case. Now let's go back to Jeremiah 30 verse 6. "Ask ye now, and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hand on his loins, as a woman, and travail, and all faces are turned into paleness." And this is speaking of very hard tribulations right here. It says, "Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's troubles, but he shall be saved out of it." And this Jacob's troubles is going to happen everywhere in the world. Okay, and the world's going to see really who is Jacob. Okay, something that's going to be inescapable. "For it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, all right, that I will break the yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him." I'll read that in NLT for clarity. It says, "For in that day, says the Lord of Yahweh of heaven's armies, I will break the yoke from their necks and snap their chains. Foreigners will no longer be their masters." We go to verse 9. It says, "But They shall serve the Lord Yahweh their power, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. Right? Therefore, fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, save the Lord Yahweh, neither be dismayed, O Israel. For lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. Okay. But also going back to that verse 3 where it shows, Israel and Judah, this is something that hasn't happened yet. But also we know that they're trying to manufacture a false blessing via their technocracy, especially with what we've seen with this Project Gideon. But let's go to Baruch. Verse 30. And it reads, For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people, but in the land of their captivities they shall remember themselves. Verse 34. And I will bring them again in the land which I promised with an oath unto their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This is what these Christians do not deal with. They just speak of Abraham, and they completely forget Isaac and Jacob, and say that this is for everybody, when it's not. And they shall be lords of it, and I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them to be their power, and they shall be my people. And I will no more drive my people of Israel out of the land that I have given them. Okay? Thus speaking of the new covenant, which we are not in yet, because we're not in those lands. So this is, the Lord, says through the prophet Ezekiel, my servant David will be their king over them, and they will have one shepherd. And this is, I'm just reading this actually off of gotquestions.org, and it's surprisingly, what I typed in was, will David reign with, I put Jesus, in the millennial kingdom? And yes, and this is true, but this is not what the churches teach. And real quick before I get this last verse, I want to go to this. David here. It says in the Got Questions. It says Dawadah will be resurrected at the beginning of the millennium, along with the other Old Testament saints, and David will be one of those who reign with Yahushua in the kingdom. And we know that the saints are Israel. We can get that in Psalms 50 and 5. Real quick. It says, gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. What was that covenant? That was the original sprinkling of the blood unto the people of Israel. All right? That wasn't given to everybody. So now, let's go to Daniel 7 and 27. But yeah, if you have time, definitely take a look at that on gotquestions.org. And what I typed in again was, will David reign with Jesus in the millennium kingdom? And this is a really good. I mean, they kind of go off a little bit towards the end, but we know who that's really speaking of. It says, in the kingdom and dominion and greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominion shall serve and obey him. All right? Let's go on again unto, as it says, Dawud will be the one of those of the saints who reign with Yahweh Shai in the kingdom. So let me read this real quick. Bear with me for a second. And let's go to Amos 9, verses 11 to 15. I'm going to finish off right here. This is plain. That's the restoration of Israel. This is what, we always teach in the scriptures, that it's the simplicity of the scriptures, right? Not trying to be overthink it or that it be too deep. But it says, this is like Amos 9:11. In that day I will raise up the tabernacles of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old. Because obviously it's going to be reestablished, because he wasn't able to sit on the throne because he had blood on his hand. That's why Solomon sat on the throne. Okay, but this is still something that was promised unto him. Verse 12, that they may possess the remnant of Edom and of all the heathen which are called by my name, saith the Lord Yahweh that doeth this. It says, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper, and the treaders of grapes him that soweth seed, and the mountains shall drop sweet wine, and all the hills shall melt. And I will bring again the captivity of my people of Israel, and they shall build the waste cities, and inhabit them. And they shall plant vineyards, and drink the wine thereof. They shall also make gardens, and eat the fruit of them. And I will plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be pulled up out of their land, which I have given them, saith the Lord. Okay? And then, let's see. This is Psalms 2 and 8. It says, ask of me, and I shall give the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron, and they shall dash them in pieces like a potter's vessels. It says, be wise, therefore, O ye kings, be instructed, ye judges of the earth. Okay? And who are those judges, right? As would be the elect, right? He even says it in Matthew 19:28, says, Yahweh Shai said unto them, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon the 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. But again, I just wanted to touch up on, the time period of Ezekiel 37:24, and that's going to be in the kingdom of heaven, that millennial kingdom. Okay. So, I pray this lesson was edifying. Shalom. On to the next. Kwam Yashrallah. And Baba Baba.